It's very well known from survey after survey that Americans do not trust their news sources. And there was actually a study published last summer, so about a year ago, and they surveyed citizens in like 45 countries, and and they asked them that the goal was to find out the degree to which they trusted their news media. Out of out of all these countries, 45, America came in last, and I believe there was like one communist country at least in the list. Okay, so we came in last. So we no people don't trust the news media, and I wanted to recount just briefly a story how regarding how I came to start studying the news media. So I've been studying the news media since about 1990 or so. Um, but it all started. I was when I was a young man, uh, probably about 24, I think. Yeah. Um, the we were on the cusp of invading Iraq for the first time under George H.W. Bush, and of course I had you could I had no I was young, I had no idea what was going to happen, but I had this fear like, what if they have a draft, and I'd have to go in this stupid war over nothing. So so I was concerned about that, and on the eve of like the days leading up to Congress taking a vote about whether or not to go to war, um, I was desperately buying newspapers trying to find like an op-ed or an article saying we shouldn't go to war because we don't want our young people to die over something stupid, right? But I couldn't. I would buy the New York Times, the Boston Globe, the Wall Street Journal, some local papers, and I didn't see anywhere, on the news, the radio, listen to NPR, didn't hear anywhere that concern about the young people going off to die. So that I began to awaken, like, okay, not everyone's voice is heard or echoed in the news media, right? But then I had a few months later, the following summer, a very sort of seminal experience that really woke me up and really got me interested in studying the news media. Um, it was August of that year, and I was driving out to graduate school, and it was like a 2 day drive, and I had a friend who from high school who had a job with a local TV outlet in upstate New York. So I let him know I'm driving out to grad school, and he said, "Oh, you can stay the night if you want." I'm like, "Sure, thank you." So I drove out, and I, stopped that evening. We had a bite to eat, and and he said, "Would you like to go to the station and see the what the studio's like and meet the newscasters and stuff like that?" Yeah, I'd love to. So we went to the news station, and I want to say everyone was very nice to me, you know. But I met like the evening anchors, the weather lady, the sports guy, and they were very nice. They were funny. They were a pleasure to be around. Um, but there were two things I want to recount about this. Number one, they had a story that so this was about 1990, 91, 91. So they had a story in the 70s that got national airplay. So my friend said, "Oh, get the video, get the video." So this is back when we had VHS tapes. And he's like, "Oh, let's show him the video, show him the video." So they're like, "Yeah, yeah." So they threw this video in, and they're like, "We got national airplay with this." So I'm watching it, and I don't want to give away the station or my friend, but basically I watched someone die on camera. So I'm watching this. I'm like, is is he dying? Like I couldn't believe it, And this is before YouTube, so like you didn't see death all the time. So I'm like, is he dying? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, we got national airplay with this. So that started to wake me up. Like, okay, this is really, and they were nice people, but I'm thinking like they're setting our priorities every night. So then we ended up back in my friend's apartment. It's the evening, and he said, "You want to watch the news? It's 11 o'clock." I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to see it." So we're going to watch his colleagues, the people I had just met in the studio. So so he turns the TV on, and I'm like, I didn't recognize them. I'm like, it's like the anchor. I'm like, I don't remember seeing him. He goes like, yeah, you talked to him. That's so and so. I'm like, that's him. These people they looked completely different, and their voices were absolutely nothing like they were when I met them. And so I combine those two things. Yeah, the excitement about the tape that got national airplay, seeming to forget or not care that someone died. Like they're objectifying this person who died. You know, and then and then not being able to recognize, like the weather woman. The weather woman was actually kind of bitchy, yet she was so nice on camera. It was amazing. so so that was sort of like a seminal experience for me. I combined my, given my earlier skepticism about the media with this experience. I started to pay attention, and it led, like the next 32 years, I've become, I'm not bragging, but I've become a pretty sophisticated consumer of news media and analyst of news media. Um, and I've gone through, achieving throughout that time new levels of understanding. So I just want to mention this. Given that people don't trust their news media, and given what we've been seeing over the last 5 or 6 years, how crazy it's gotten. Um, you know, I I want to encourage other people to start to really, pay attention to the news media and study it yourself. If you really examine it, um, and compare and contrast, broadcasters, and um, you're gonna, if you don't already, you're gonna really start to see why people don't trust the media.